Hi, my name is Colton Glaze, and I'm a Spanish major in the honors program at the University of North Georgia. Today, I will be presenting on historical objectivity and the War of Independence in Spain. So, the Napoleonic campaigns on the Iberian Peninsula have largely been remembered by Spain as their War of Independence, and it has been romanticized to fuel nationalist pride. The response of the English Romantic poets, the conflict's manipulated remembrance through commemorations, and domestic reactions to the Spanish Guerra de la Independencia can be synthesized to reveal that Spain had a pretty significant nationalist bias. By exposing the subjective nature of historical accounts, there are implications for how history ought to be studied amid current regional discord in Spain. Since Spain is made up of regions and autonomous communities more culturally diverse than the states in the United States, these implications are significant indeed. So first is the British response to the Peninsular War. Despite the Lake Poets' joint support of the libertarian ideals fought for by Spain against Napoleon, their work also reveals controversy within Britain over their support for the war. Both scholars Gordon Thomas and Stuart Andrews argue that despite the differences in varying opinions on the Lake Poets' writings, the poets overall had not abandoned libertarian causes. Their essays, however, also include the perspectives of other historians, including the official British historian of the war, Sir William Napier, and his pragmatic view of the popularly romanticized campaign. The Lake Poets' perspective on the war is significant since their works were designed to influence Britain's support of the Spanish libertarian cause, as claimed by Gordon Thomas. The commemorations of the Peninsular War looking back were also significant to reinforce both Spain's nationalist bias and the influence of regionalism on the event's interpretation. Within Zaragoza, Spain, in 1908, after the first 100 years after the Peninsular War had passed, centennial celebrations were impacted by the contrasting liberal and Catholic visions of the Spanish nationalist conscience. Essentially, both the liberal and Catholic political agendas had different opinions on how Spanish nationalism ought to unite the country. Furthermore, the 2008 bicentennial celebrations in the Oriente Square in Madrid reinforced the interpretation of the Peninsular War for the nationalist cause. There were also two significant perspectives that came out of Spain during the war. These perspectives are Goya's series of prints, The Disasters of War, and women's political involvement to support patriotism. Both Vega and Espigado, authors of these academic writings, discuss the opinions of Spanish civilians during the war. However, the two perspectives differ. In Francisco Goya's print, Que Valor, there is a demonstration of the anonymity of Goya's work and his focus on experiences rather than specific people or places. Essentially, Vega argues that Goya has a very mature perspective on the war since he does not glorify the war and rather focuses on the individualized pain that a war can cause. Espigado notably includes quotations by Spanish women that were used to promote patriotism during the war. This patriotism directly contradicts Goya's opinions on the conflict. These two perspectives are at odds with one another, which reinforces the idea of multiple perspectives rather than a singular nationalist war of independence. Overall, the Spanish nationalist interpretation of the war as a war of independence ignores important, more nuanced perspectives. These perspectives hold important implications for how the War of Independence in Spain is celebrated, and these celebrations directly impact regionalism and the relationship between the national government and autonomous communities within Spain. Considering Basque and Catalonian cultures' complex relationship to Spanish identity, this recognition of biased interpretation holds relevance to the modern political climate within Spain and the conflicts between these entities. Research proves that it is crucial to study the Peninsular War while recognizing non-traditional perspectives, especially within an increasingly tense political climate between nationalism and regionalism in Spain. This acknowledgement of different interpretations is relevant to historical research, education, and, like mentioned before, the regional political climate in Spain. Studying these various sources that all hold a different perspective on the Peninsular War in Spain reveals the objectivity of history and the importance to recognize that objectivity in a modern environment.